Daddy's not happy. He came to the UN today, and it was a total mess. Everything was broken. The escalators weren't even working. Trump and Melania were riding it up, and it just stopped. The First Lady lost her balance a bit, but steadied herself, thankfully, and then marched to the top. She could have been hurt, and the president looked over at the press and knew something was up. At first, we thought the escalator just malfunctioned, but then so did the teleprompter.
I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
Trump says the UN is just lucky that Melania is in great shape.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the two things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. It just went on. Thank you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier.
Coincidence or sabotage? The UN tried to blame Trump. But on Sunday, the Times reported this, quote, to mark Trump's arrival, UN staff members have joked that they may turn off the escalators and elevators and simply tell him they ran out of money, so he has to walk up the stairs. The White House says this isn't a joke and is demanding an investigation. They could have hurt the most beautiful First Lady in American history. Why are we paying for a building that's just trying to injure the First Lady? If anything, it made the UN look bad, not Trump. The UN covered up for the China virus and then didn't stop the Iranian nuke program. We did. They're not making peace. So what are they doing? I visited the UN over 10 years ago. It's still the same.
What has the UN accomplished recently?
I don't know. Maybe it's the.
Do you ever just cut loose and go hit the restaurants afterwards and just tie one on?
You're in New York. What else would you do after the meeting?
What's the cuisine like in Nepal?
Cuisine means
The food.
food.
Yeah.
Food. Food. Rice and
Are you trying to stay out of trouble here in New York? Have you found romance here in New York?
romance. To you?
Romance.
Romance.
With the ladies? Striking out?
No.
Things will pick up.
The UN's just a slush fund for lazy diplomats. Trump's trying to help them, and they're trying to embarrass him.
What is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action.
We haven't heard much about the UN since the Iraq War. What have they been doing for the last 20 years, besides whining about climate change? Trump's Mr. Ceasefire, and the UN never even picked up the phone.
In a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal.
Harry Truman created the United Nations after World War II to help maintain peace and stop war. They're not doing that. All they're doing is funding invasions.
Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the #1 political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. You have to do that because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see it, and I can call every single one of them out. You're destroying your countries.
The UN unleashes refugees, then blames it on global warming so it can ask America for more money. That's the scam. And Biden was in on it. He kept our border open and then gave the UN $1 billion to stop global warming. The Europeans are in the same boat as the big guy.
Europe is in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe. Nobody is ever, and nobody's doing anything to change it, to get them out. It's not sustainable. And because they choose to be politically correct, they're doing just absolutely nothing about it.
My producer went to Portugal. I know, we pay him very well. And said it was 2 hours at customs because there were plane loads of Muslim refugees with their whole families. They don't speak English or Portuguese or Spanish or even French. And the Portuguese officials were trying to fingerprint them, and all hell broke loose. And at the end, they were like, all right, just go right in. My producer's mom talked to the customs official, who was livid, and said, yeah, there are plane loads of these people who are coming in all day, every day, and we just have to let them in. You see them on boats racing onto the shore in France. If we don't protect the birthplace of Western civilization, we're finished. How long can we go before Europe ceases to exist? Cities across the world are turning into little Jalalabads.
I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed, so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. But you're in a different country. You can't do that.
The UN's been telling us it doesn't matter because, we're all going to die.
The executive director of the United Nations Environmental Program predicted that by the year 2000, climate change would cause a global catastrophe. He said that it will be irreversible, as any nuclear holocaust would be. This is what they said at the United Nations. What happened? Here we are. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons, were wrong. They were made by stupid people that have cost their countries fortunes.
The world hasn't ended, but they did end fossil fuels. Everybody went green and then went, oops, this doesn't work. Germany went full Al Gore with windmills and solar panels. They paid China billions for it. It was such a disaster, they went back to buying Russian oil. China laughed their way to the bank. They had the green market cornered and robbed the West blind. And to make it worse, unvetted foreigners are sucking up the rest of the resources. Trump said, I told you so.
It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. If you don't get away from this green scam, your country is going to fail. And I'm really good at predicting things, you know. They actually said during the campaign, they had a hat, the best-selling hat. Trump was right about everything. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way, but it's true. I've been right about everything.
We're handing the world the MAGA model. Stop the green stuff, close the borders, and make money, not war. It worked here, and it'll work there. You have a choice. Kill your culture and your currency, or use a little common sense. Then everybody can get a job, get married, have babies, go to church, and go on vacation, and give a little back. And if everybody can get their own houses in order, we don't have to police the world and be the bad guy. That's what they say they want, right? Biden used to come in and to the UN and say it was all about autocracy versus democracy. And the intelligentsia would nod their heads and stroke their chins. Well, all that means nothing if you can't keep your lights on and control your borders. Half the time, Biden didn't even know where he was.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to Washington. Fellow leaders, friends, for 944 days, Putin has waged his vicious onslaught against Ukraine.
Welcome to Washington. The first Trump term, the UN rolled its eyes. Now Trump's back. He was right about everything, and they're forced to take him seriously. European officials say, quote, none of this is amusing anymore. Nor do the other leaders still believe they can manage Trump. They're still trying, but he's shown an unpredictability this time that no amount of compliments and gifts is going to change. Everybody knows who has the power. The president of France, Emmanuel Macron, had his motorcade halted because Trump was just hanging out around the block. And 47 told him to go for a walk.
I'm sorry, I'm the president. I'm really sorry. It's just that everything's in frozen right now. There's a motorcade coming right. I'm sorry.
If you don't see, let me pause. How are you? Guess what? I'm waiting in the street because everything is puzzled for you.
Leaders around the world are calling Trump daddy, nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize and flying to Mar-a-Lago for rounds of golf. Trump even got Zelensky to put on a suit at the White House and at the UN. A big shift is happening. Fox News alert. Trump thinks Zelensky has it in him to beat Putin. Quote, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form, with time, patience, and the financial support of Europe and, in particular, NATO. This is a huge change in posture for the president. Clearly unhappy with Putin's lackadaisical attitude towards peace, Trump just threw the car in drive and is suggesting that the United States, Ukraine, and NATO fully fund the campaign to push Putin completely back to the previous borders, no matter how long it takes. He called Putin weak.
It could be that Russia's a paper tiger. I don't know what they are, but 3.5 years of fighting and killing everybody, of killing 7,000 people a week for nothing, So it's a very sad situation, but most of you have seen the recent statement I put out a little while ago, and I'm glad you got it, but I feel that way. I really do feel that way. Let them get their land back.
Is this just a negotiating tactic, or does Trump mean it? We're about to find out. The ball's in Putin's court. And Trump says the next Russian plane that enters NATO airspace is getting shot out of the sky.
Mr. President, do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
This is a new era. Biden's gone, the UN's feckless, and Trump's giving the world the playbook, the MAGA model. And Putin's on notice. If the Charlie Kirk assassination taught us anything, it's to be clear, bold, and unafraid. We're trying to help other countries. We're giving them billions of dollars. We're sending them arms, energy, and tech. We're trying to stop the killing. We're trying to talk sense into you. But if you're going to fly planes into airspace and send refugees across our borders and sabotage our teleprompters and escalators, while we're trying to help you, we're going to blind you with the light and expose you here and everywhere.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.